Okay, Matt, do you want to kick off the recap?
Let's do it. Our story picks up on day 50 of the Centennial Games, and that means the Betwixt Ball.
It's lavish and apparently the highlight of the century for the island of Lightlark. But as always, with something beautiful comes something ugly.
The end of the ball, at the strike of midnight, marks the moment when rulers can begin unaliving each other. But until then, enjoy the festivities.
Isla attends the ball in a very striking, strategic, and see-through gown. She dances the night away with anyone and everyone before she needs to go get some fresh air. And who does she run into? You guessed it, Grim.
Yeah, the two spend some super quality alone time that leaves all of us a bit pent up. But more importantly, Grim gives Isla a nightshade necklace, which he turns invisible so no one knows she has it, and tells her if she ever needs him to simply pull on it, and he'll come calling.
Isla reappears around 11:30 p.m., and the world goes haywire.
The island begins to disintegrate and come apart. There's a lot of unintentional unaliving in the castle, but Isla corrals King Oro and gets him to put a stop to it.
This event sends shivers throughout the kingdom and the rulers. The castle and the town are largely abandoned, with most rulers and inhabitants fleeing to their respective isles.
It really feels like the clock has sped up, and even for some rulers like Cleo, it's like every man for themselves at this point. I felt like it was kind of like a turning point in the story.
As such, King Oro and Isla expedite their search for the heart. On day 53, they are able to question some of the more ancient creatures after Isla is purposefully abducted. But they all learn that the heart never blooms in the same place, but is always where lightness meets darkness.
They take their leave, and Oro begins succumbing to the wounds he took freeing Isla. But she's able to get him to healing waters, but just as he heals up, the sun begins to rise. Thank heavens there's a convenient cave nearby.
The king awakes around midday. To pass time, they play 20 questions. Because, why not? It seems that Oro trusts and respects Isla more after saving his life. The game builds even more trust between them.
Some takeaways, right? Oro doesn't know of any relic on the island that could break a curse.
The ancient creatures are unable to lie to Oro.
There are only 8 places that Oro knows of where the heart could be, based upon the whole likeness meeting darkness thing.
Based on previous searches and deductions, the heart isn't on Star Isle, Sun Isle, or Sky Isle.
So a couple of days later, Oro flies them to Moon Isle so they can visit an oracle and learn some more details.
The oracle reveals that the heart is closer than they think, that one of the rulers will die by the end of the game, and Isla is surrounded by lies and liars.
That really threw a lot of shade on Oro for me, just saying. Anyhow, as if we didn't know any of that, right? But that night, Isla decides to use the star stick to look in on her homeland, because reasons.
Bad idea, friend. It's in shambles. The land is dying, the people are dying, and her guardians are wasting away. Isla will need all of the power to save them.
All of it. So back in the cave, Oro tried to make a deal with Isla. If she tells him her greatest secret, he'll let her win the Centennial Games and claim all the power. But she said no deal at the time.
But the banker called, and Isla tells Doro, deal. And she lets him in on her darkest secret. She was born without power.
In an unprecedented move, King Oro calls a meeting of the rulers on day 60 to switch up the partnerships.
He pairs himself with Cleo to better search Moon Isle.
He pairs Celeste and Azul together because #reasons.
And he pairs Grim and Isla.
But Cleo is super skeptical of all of this, right? So Oro tells everyone why he made his decision. It's because Isla doesn't have any powers.
Before anyone can attack her, Grim takes her hand and they disappear.
Info alert, okay? Grim has a flare that allows him to teleport. Okay.
Grim lets her know that he's always known her secret and he meant every word he's ever said. He'll protect her because the world believes they are monsters and monsters stick together.
With Grim's help, Isla ends up moving into the palace on Wild Isle, where she feels that she can be safe.
Ella, her attendant, still comes by each day and Celeste still visits as an ally.
More than anything, though, Isla throws herself a nice pity party for a few days.
She does eventually pull herself together and decides to work with Juniper, the secret trading barkeep again.
Note on Juniper, pretty dang certain that in part 1, for some reason, we referred to him as Jasper. Not sure why that happened. Anyway, Juniper, Isla offers a trade with him. Details of her deepest, darkest secret for details of his.
Juniper says he knows who cast the curse. But when Isla shows up to meet him, he's unalived.
One night before she can meet with Juniper, Isla spies Cleo walking through the darkness and decides to follow her all the way back to Moon Isle.
Before Isla can get close enough to see what she's doing, Cleo discovers her and locks her in frozen ice for death.
Isla is freed, because of course she's freed, but by some of those ancient creatures that just kind of want to eat her. They free her and they begin to fly away.
Yeah,
Like,
because
yeah.
Yeah? So of course Aura shows up and saves her.
So when she comes to, Oro tells her everything. How he revealed her secret to earn Cleo's trust and earn access to search Moon Isle. How he revealed her secret to keep Celeste safe. How he secretly posted guards all around Isla after she left the mainland castle. How his flair is that he always knows when somebody is lying or telling the truth. How their deal is still good to go.
And much like Ross, the story pivots on day 75.
The Caramel Carnival occurs as planned and Isla attends. And, as you do, she gets drunk.
Oro escorts her back to her rooms, telling her they only have 2 more places to search for the heart. When Isla wakes up, she learns that Celeste has been attacked.
Celeste is literally floating in an incomplete enchantment, but she's not unalive. Isla asks Grim to make Celeste's body disappear.
Back to Moon Isle, Isla and Oro search for the heart in an abandoned castle that also just happens to be submerged in icy cold water.
Isla dives in and follows a girl through the deeps. Sure, okay. Unsurprisingly, this girl decides to attack her.
This is giving major Triwizard Tournament vibes. So in a freaky underwater battle, Isla ends up stabbing the girl through the eye and makes it back to the surface to suck down air while Oro heals her wounds.
Which means there's only one place left that the heart could be. It's in Vinderland.
Vinderland lies far beyond the cold snows of Moon Isle. It's so cold and desolate that it's nearly uninhabitable. But a group of wildlings who denounced their loyalty to Wildling long before the curse now live there.
When Oro and Isla arrive, a pack of Vinderlanders attack. But, of course, Isla unleashes her Neo-esque fighting skills while Oro is alive with his firepower. The two leave all the Vinderlanders unalived, cold in the icy snow.
All that effort for nothing. They search and search, but there is no heart.
The sun rises on day 80 along with a feeling of despair, but Isla refuses to give up.
She goes to Oro's room to pick apart the prophecy. To help think, Oro shows Isla the library hidden beneath his rooms.
Yep, in there, they uncover a lot such as the island wasn't just created by Oro's and Grimm's ancestors, but also by Isla's ancestor, whose name is Lark Crown.
It seems vaguely important.
Mm-hmm.
They take a break from reading, and Isla goes to visit Celeste's hidden body, where she discovers Celeste is holding the diamond ring Isla gave Azul on that very first day.
Isla uses the necklace to immediately call Grimm and starts demanding to know what he hasn't told her, what he's holding back. She demands all the answers.
Grimm, obviously dodging the questions, tells her that she's all he ever thinks about, and the two get a little spicy.
Just a little bit. Mm-hmm. Over the coming days, Isla has an epiphany. Where darkness meets light is both a location and a time of day. And Isla thinks she knows where and when it's gonna be.
On day 90, Isla takes Oro back to Moon Isle.
She follows the alarm bird back to its nest, and they hide in a cave until dawn, and then Isla goes out to the nest to retrieve the the heart. And then she's shot in her own heart with a Vinderland arrow.
Oro burns all of the Vinderlands, but can't leave the cave to save her because sunlight. Isla uses the necklace to call Grimm, and then she's unconscious.
She awakens in her room in Grimm's arms. He has used all of her healing elixir to heal her, but he also found some elixir to heal Celeste. Oro flies to her balcony and gives her the heart.
They now have a choice to make. To fulfill the prophecy, which ruler's life needs to end. Oro essentially boils it down to two, Celeste or Grimm. It's Isla's choice.
But of course, Isla doesn't want either of those, so she has a plan to save them both, because, yeah.
Celeste causes a portion of the castle to begin crumbling to draw Oro out of his rooms. She then slips into the secret library and retrieves the bond breaker. Isla, Grimm, and Celeste then meet at the place on the Wild Isles to break the curse.
But en route to that palace, Grimm comes clean to Isla. And oh boy, this made me sick.
Yeah, so apparently Isla has been using the Star Stick to visit Grimm in Nightshade for a year or so, and the two have quite the romantic history. You see, all those sexy dreams she's been having about Grimm were actually memories. Memories he made her forget at Celeste's suggestion.
Distraught, Isla leaves Grimm in the forest and rushes to meet Celeste, who pierces her hand and then pierces Isla's hand with the bond breaker just as Grimm breaks through the door, closely followed by Oro. But both of those guys are flung back and held against the wall with vines.
Because Celeste isn't Celeste. She's Aurora, the starling ruler betrothed to King Oro's brother, King Eggen, who died the day the curse were cast.
And Bondbreaker is actually Bondmaker, a relic that allows powers to be passed from a ruler to an heir before death.
And because Grimm and Oro have both fallen in love with Isla, she has just passed her own and her powers to Aurora, who has bided her time for revenge against Egan. And so she could control all 6 powers and rule all 6 realms.
Hold on, wait a second, Becca. You just said Isla passed her own powers to Aurora?
Mm-hmm.
But I thought she didn't have any powers. Isn't that like the whole crux of this entire story?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm confused too. Well, so as to that, before Aurora can unalive her, Isla grabs the Star Stick out of her dress and teleports to her room in Wildling. And she grabs her armor and swords and confronts Poppy and learns some things.
What sort of things, Becca?
Isla has both Wildling power from her mother and Nightshade power from her father. The Nightshade power has cloaked her Wildling power all these years. Poppy and Tara unalived Isla's parents and then raised her to believe she didn't have powers because of Aurora's threats.
Okay, damn. Well, okay. Isla, after that, Isla Star Sticks her way back to the Wild Isle Palace and harrowingly battles against the earth elements Aurora wields until she breaks through and uses Bondmaker on Aurora to reverse the powers and then unalive her.
The earth opens up and Aurora falls into it, followed by the heart and Isla.
But Isla is saved when Oro casts a vine to catch her around the waist and haul her back to safety.
How can Oro control earth elements, you might be asking? It's because Isla loves Oro, not Grim.
Feeling betrayed and confused, Grim disappears.
The prophecy has been fulfilled and the curses are broken.
In the aftermath, here's what's happened.
Isla returns the powers to their rightful owners before spending 2 weeks cloistered in her rooms and a bathtub.
Grim returns to Nightshade in shame and betrayal.
Cleo cuts the bridge connecting Moon Isles and the mainland.
Azul watches the cursed storm dissipate around Lightlark and maybe talks to his dead husband once more before he can finally rest in peace.
Oro sends sweets, foods, and clothing to Isla's room until she lets him in. They begin to work through the trauma and find a way to let love shine.
And together, they make their way back to the Wild Isle Palace, where Isla has discovered how to open the hidden compartment. She uses her crown.